Good morning. Welcome to 10 at 10. It's a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous Friday morning the Lord has given us. We're thankful for the rain that He sent over the last couple of days. But it's cooler, less humid, and absolutely a beautiful day. And we're thankful that we have the privilege to be able to meet together around God's Word and dealing with an issue this morning that unfortunately is controversial in our culture today. Issue that's sad, but we the other day my 6-year-old grandson asked his dad, Daddy, what country has the rainbow flag? And so a little bit of a discussion with some of my kids and how do we deal with that? How do we respond to that with our kids? And we went back and forth on Messenger some, and one of them suggested that I deal with this for our Friday morning. Ask Me Anything, and I was a little hesitant to do that because this particular venue isn't always open to biblical perspectives, and I didn't want our whole channel to get shut down. But as I thought it through, I thought we would just try to do it as gently, as carefully as we can, but deal with some of the issues. And so I a couple of biblical principles that come to mind. I thought we'd just deal with this morning and deal with those, and we'd be done. But as I thought it through and did some preparation, I realized this is probably going to take us more time. So this will probably go into next week, and probably, well, at least one more, maybe two more, maybe three more. 10 at 10s, maybe all three next week. We'll see. But sometimes we give answers to issues and we deal with something on the surface, but there are background things or contextual things or truths underlying or untruths underlying that need to be dealt with as well. And that's kind of what I've run into as I've thought about, there are a couple quick biblical answers for this, but why are they necessary, and what's the context? And so we're just starting with the history of the rainbow this morning. And we see it first in the Bible in Genesis chapter 9, as God makes his covenant with Noah and his sons. In verse 8 of Genesis chapter 9, God spake unto Noah and his sons with him, saying, Behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, with every living creature and every beast of the earth. I'll establish my covenant with you. In verse 12, God says, This is the token of the covenant, which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. God said, I'm going to make a covenant, Noah, with you. We call it the Noahic covenant, but it's really made with Noah, with his sons, with all the animals and their descendants, and with us as descendants of Noah. And so God made a token, a sign of this covenant. And we find that again in Genesis 9, verse 12. This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. So this is, and we don't think of it this way, but this is actually a covenant that God made with your cat. It's a covenant that God made with your dog, with your horse, besides the fact with us and with our kids, with them and the living creatures for perpetual generations. Here's the sign of that covenant. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token, for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. I'm making a lot of waving here. The Minnesota state birds are real active here this morning. I suppose after that rain, we've got a new hatching. But here we have the introduction of the rainbow. The rainbow in and of itself is a good thing. It's not even a neutral thing. It's a good thing. It's a holy thing, because it's something that God created, that he established as the sign of a covenant And again, we have a lot of covenants that God made in the scripture. We have the Adamic covenant, the Abrahamic covenant. This we call, again, the Noahic covenant, but it's interesting to read it. Noah, it's between you and your sons, between God making this covenant, Noah, to you and to your sons, and to all the animals that are coming off the ark, and to your descendants and the descendants of all those animals for perpetual generations. So literally, and it sounds almost silly, maybe even a little trite, but literally God made this covenant with your cat, with your dog, with your cow, with your horse, with the deer out in the woods, with the turkey and the fox, and all the people on the earth. And he said, this covenant is so important. He didn't give us a celestial sign for the Adamic covenant or the Abrahamic covenant or any other covenant. But this covenant is so important that he said, I'm going to give you a sign that everyone will be able to see. When I send rain and I send clouds and I put the bow in it, and I don't know anyone who isn't amazed by the beauty of rainbows. And if you've ever seen a double rainbow, or I don't think I've ever seen one, I've heard of people saying a triple, just incredible, the beauty. But God says, every time I see that, I'll remember my covenant. And we're out to remember his covenant. So rainbows are not even neutral. The rainbow is a good thing. It's a holy thing. It's something that God created as a reminder to himself, not that he's going to forget, but that's what he says. Every time he sees a rainbow, it's a reminder of his promise that he will never again flood the earth. He will never destroy the earth again with a flood. And so it's a promise to us, something in which we can have confidence of his promise. So it's a good thing. It's a holy thing. In Ezekiel chapter 1, and I found, there may be more under other wording, but I found 4 places in the Bible where we see rainbows. This is talking about angelic beings in beginning of verse 26. It starts earlier than that, but verse 28, the appearance, now I'm going to start in 26, sorry. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne there was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within, from the appearance of his loins upward, from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell on my face and heard a voice of one that spoke. So Ezekiel here gets a glimpse of the glory of God in the throne room of God, and he tries to describe it. And he said it was like fire. It was like it was red, except it was gold. And John says, well, yeah, except it was green in Revelation chapter 1. But as the appearance of the bow in the cloud in the day of rain. So the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow are used to describe the glory of God. Excuse me. And then twice in the book of Revelation chapter 4, to which I just referenced, John sees the same scene, the throne room of God. And he's ushered into the throne room of God, and he says in verse 3 of Revelation 4, he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. So Ezekiel says, kind of like in a rainbow, but a lot of red, well, actually a lot of gold, and John says, well, actually a lot of green. So all these colors really emanating from the throne of God. So the rainbow is a good thing. The rainbow is a holy thing. The rainbow originates with the character of God. The rainbow is how these men who were given the amazing privilege of having a glimpse into the throne room of God and seeing his glory and his holiness, that's part of how they describe him. The other reference is in Revelation chapter 4, where it talks about, chapter 10, verse 1, where it talks about an angel looked like he was wrapped around with a rainbow. So we're out of time for today. But as a foundation, as we deal with this question, again, if you missed the very beginning, my 6-year-old grandson earlier this week asked his dad, Daddy, what country has the rainbow flag? It's sad. It's tragic that we have to deal with those issues with our young children. And really the question was, what's the best way to deal with that? But again, we're getting some context. We're getting some history. So our thought this morning, rainbows are not even neutral. The rainbow is holy. The rainbow is good. It was given as a token by God, as a covenant between everybody on earth today and every animal on earth today. They may not all know it, but every time they see a rainbow, it's a sign to them and a reminder to God himself that he will never again destroy the earth with a flood. So when we think of it being used for less than holy purposes, it's not just something neutral. It's not just some colors. It's actually a good, holy thing that has been co-opted. So we'll talk some more about the history of 3 or 4 different movements that have used the rainbow in the last 50 years or so, probably on Monday, Lord willing. Thanks for being with us today. It is Free Soup Friday up at Corner Store. I don't know what the soups are. There's chili every day, and I'm not sure what the other option is, but all their soups are great. So get on up there, get your bowl of soup, let your neighbors know, and then we'll continue our discussion of the rainbow and all of that issue, Lord willing, on Monday. Isaiah 41:13, for I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. God bless you. Have a great day.